Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Through the Storm podcast, formerly known as The Other Side of Addiction. Hey, we got a really good show for you guys today. And I know you hear me say that every week because every week we have a really good show. We have great guests that come on, and I'm excited to have our guest Saige Whitney on today. But before I introduce her, I just want to say thank you to Emergo Academy. My good friends Dave and Susan Kenny, they're out of Canada. They are with Emergo Academy, Emergo Academy. You know, if you're looking to be certified as an international crisis and recovery coach, I highly suggest checking out their program. Even if you're not interested in becoming a crisis and recovery coach, I still highly recommend you check out their program. You guys hear me say this every single week. The training that I took with these guys have helped me in so many ways, especially with my own personal life. You know, a lot of things that happened to me in 2025, I really do give, of course, all the credit to God first, but also secondly, the training that I took, because those guys really helped me understand how to sit with my emotions, to figure things out. You guys heard me say on the show many times about what's the message in the mirror. There's a lesson behind everything. The reason why I changed the podcast to Through the Storm, because it's through the storm is where we actually find ourselves. We find our courage, we find our character, we actually find our faith, we find our friends, we find our programming, I guess you could say. We find our strengths, we find our purpose, we find our weaknesses, and yes, we also find what's left to be healed. So I highly suggest you guys check out Emergo Academy, Emergo Academy.com. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys to our guest, Saige Whitney. Saige, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Al, for having me on. I remember when we met in that coffee shop to discuss this podcast, and after we met, I knew you were someone that I wanted to keep in my life for a long time. So yeah, it was just really good meeting you, and it was a very powerful meeting, and just really grateful to be here.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You know, and today we're going to be talking about I couldn't say no. It's time to take our power back. And I freaking love this title. And I understand where it's coming from. I got God bumps over here because when I went through your bio and read it, I'm like, my gosh, there are so many of us struggling with that, that we are afraid to say no because we're so busy people pleasing. And what we don't realize is we are holding ourselves back by doing that. So, what does that, I mean, what is it that you have gone through to where why this title came about to where you couldn't say no, and what happened in your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. I, well, it started obviously my whole life. I've never been able to say no. Couldn't say no to a baby or even a dog. It was a scary word. And we're groomed by society. All genders are. It's more focused on women, but men struggle with this too, to just say yes to everybody. Say yes to authority, even when it feels wrong. Say yes to your friends, driving them around, being their taxi. Say yes to people taking advantage of you. And there's something wrong with that. So, what happened with me is I met this girl and she told me she was dying. She told me she had cancer, kidney failure, gastroparesis, which is paralysis of the stomach. It's where you take in food and your stomach is paralyzed, so it doesn't move the food along the intestines. Sometimes it just kind of ferments and causes people to throw up, be very sick. All of those were lies. All she had was lupus and an iron deficiency. So we start there where she was having me take her to the hospital once a week. And, she would hit her head and say, "We need to go to the hospital." She would self harm. And it got to the point where I should have been saying no because I had work in the morning. And it wasn't until a year later I found out she was an opioid addict and she was trying to get drugs
Mm.
from the hospital. She didn't need to go to the hospital once a week, it was for opioids. So I realized that all those hours of my life just sleeping on that hospital floor was for drugs. And I had ended up quitting 2 jobs because of this situation. It got so stressful. My hair was falling out. I was gaining weight, all these things. And if I would have just told her no when she proposed, after us being friends for 2 weeks, that we should get married, none of this would have happened. None of it. We live and we learn. And now I have boundaries and now I say no. But it's a hard truth to swallow.
Yeah. How hard was it for you to set the boundaries? And I like to ask people this question because I know for me, when it came time to set boundaries for my late wife, it was very, very difficult, especially when you love someone, right? When you care about an individual, whether it's a partner or a good friend or a family member, whatever, to be able to set boundaries and stick to them. Because, like you said, it is a scary word and it's hard to say no to someone that we care about.
Yeah.
And a lot of us get taken advantage because of it. And I think a lot of us also may feel that we are being selfish by saying no, that we're only caring about ourselves. However, I've come to realize with my experiences that it is okay to be selfish as long as it's the good selfish, right? I mean, like if you and I were out in a rainstorm and I had a rain jacket and you didn't, but you're freezing your butt off, it would be selfish for me not to offer my rain jacket to you. That's just how I see it, right? However, to be selfish to where we need to take care of ourselves first, it's just like the mask coming out of the airplane, right? Put it on you first. Because if we're not helping ourselves first, how can we actually really help other people? So did you find it hard to stick to those boundaries?
No, there were no boundaries. I had no boundaries.
No, I mean when you
I
started though.
Oh, when I started. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It was so hard. I had a roommate and I had started going to Sex Addicts Anonymous. I'm a recovering love and sex addict. And I wasn't going to tell her that. That's very private. So I just said I have a therapy session, a group therapy session Thursday nights that I need to go to. And this was when I was working with a client. It was a living caregiving position. And every 2 weeks to a month, we would head down to St. George, which for the listeners, that's southern Utah. And we would go and train this service dog. So I had a roommate and she wanted to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And my SLAW or Sex Addicts Anonymous, they're different, but I've been to all Sex Addicts Anonymous, Sexaholics Anonymous, Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. So this was just SA, Sexaholics Anonymous. And so that was held Thursday nights. So I told her we cannot go down Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I have a very important group therapy meeting. Well, what about my schedule? What about Nike? What about me? What about my hours? I cannot go on Thursday. I am sorry. Well, what about my hours? How am I going to do this, Saige? Blah, blah, blah. We cannot do this. I have therapy. It's important to me. I'm not joking. I had to set this boundary 5 times. This is important to me. I need to get better. That's great. You have Nike hours and you need to figure that out, but you can figure this out with your work and it will work out. I had to set this boundary 10 times with this roommate. She did not care clearly about what was going on with me. And so finally, I told her, we can't do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Let's try Tuesday, Wednesday, and come back Thursday afternoon, we can get back around 6 so I can make my meeting. And I said, make it happen, Captain. And I looked at her because she was so hell bent on breaking this boundary of mine, of because she did not clearly care about my therapy or whatever. That's how I see it. I don't know what her interpretation of that was. Maybe she thought I was lying. I don't know. Um, but she went quiet. She said, okay. And then the next day she said, I was able to get my hours scheduled that weekend for Nike, and we can do Tuesday, Wednesday, and come back Thursday afternoon. You can get to your meeting, Sage. So not only is it so important to set those boundaries, but when you do, you're showing people that you have a life too.
Yeah.
Your needs matter too. And some people need to be taught that, and they're taught that through your boundaries, that you take your life seriously. I wanted to get better. I needed to go to this meeting. She had a Nike schedule that she could easily, well, it wasn't easy, but I knew she could move it around and talk to people. And so I had to really hold my boundary, but that was a really hard experience because I had to reiterate 4 or 5 times, this is a meeting that is important to me. I need to get better. Um, it also kind of showed me that she didn't want, maybe, I don't know what was going on in her head, right? We can't make up stories. We don't know what people are thinking, but
Mhm.
maybe she didn't want me to get better. I don't know, right? That's how I interpret it. Um, but it really does show when you're setting that boundary, this is something I need to go to. My life matters. I matter too. My needs matter too. And let's work this out. And so it was a really, yeah, it was super tough. I remember just sweating. I was this close to folding and just saying, okay, whatever, I'll just miss the meeting. But I remember thinking, no, I need to show her that my life matters too.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that meant the world to you, right? That
Yeah.
you're working so hard to make a correction in your life because it's and I don't know if this is a good analogy of putting it this way, but I would say it's like going to the gym, right?
Hmm.
You spend so much time going to a gym like you go to a meeting, and it doesn't take long of missing that gym time before you find yourself not going to the gym anymore.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do, right? Because life starts coming at us and we start coming up with reasons or excuses why, and then we find ourselves right back in the same pattern that we were in before. So, yeah. And I that was a great way of explaining it, because boundaries definitely do matter. And I know for a fact I have people in my life that they have zero boundaries. But I also know that they do not say no to anybody that asks for their help. But that's what makes them feel good by
Hmm.
helping the other individuals, but yet they're also letting themselves go. They feel
Yes.
like they're not worthy and that they don't matter and that people don't care about them when actually they do, but it satisfies them to help whatever they're lacking in them to give to other people. But again, that is still extremely dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
right?
It's uh when you overgive, people respect you less.
Mhm.
That's the truth of that. Um, but when they can say, no, I can't do this today, but I still want to assist you. Can I assist you tomorrow at 3 p.m.? You're showing, you're telling that person, hey, I have something going on that I can't drop it, but tomorrow I still want to assist you. But if you just drop everything for everyone all the time, no one respects you. Lack of respect. Like, because they see you as that you don't value your own life. That's what that shows that person. You don't value your time or your life, and so yeah, it's those people, and I get it. I was that person. So I have so much sympathy and empathy. I was that person who, yeah, dropped everything for a girl on opioids. I thought was sick at the time, of course. Um, but yeah, I remember she called me at 1 a.m. and said, I'm at the hospital, Sage, I need you. I had work at 7 a.m. in the morning, dropped everything, drove to the hospital, um, slept on the floor of the hospital, and found out that she was complaining to my friend that I was sleeping.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that didn't mean anything. This was a narcissist. And we can get more into that. But my sacrifice meant nothing. So, how many times in our life are we sacrificing it for people that are going to end up talking crap about us for the little sleep we're getting? Who are you? Who are we sacrificing for? And is it even worth it? That wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
It wasn't. There was no gratitude there. It was just, I expect this, and I'm accountable for that, right? Because I couldn't say no. Um, But through my podcast, a Lights Out Narcissistic podcast, episode 4, I teach people how to slowly work your way up to no. Which for me, I had to start with kids because adults are scary. So I had to start with kids. Somehow, every time I'm around a kid, they touch me inappropriately. So I
Hmm.
had to start saying with that child, I can't let you touch me there. That is a boundary. Thank you. And that's a win right there because you're teaching that kid, oh, I can't touch this person appropriately. And then you're also, even with the child, saying, like, hey, my boundaries, my body mean something to me. And so I had to start there. And I talk about that in my podcast. But yeah, it was a process and it's scary. Your heart starts beating fast when you think about saying no, your throat closes up, your muscles tense. I experienced all those things. So I absolutely understand. It's a process.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing it that way because so many of us feel like when we want to change our lives that it's like this big huge jump, right? That we have to
Yes.
get there in a matter of days when really we've spent most of our lives to get us to one point. And then when we decide that we want to change it, it takes a certain amount of time to get there as well, right? It's those baby steps. It's just moving in the right direction. And so many of us, I think, get impatient with ourselves because let's say here's another good example with the gym, right? I love using the gym because I go to the gym all the time. It's like, okay, well, I've been going to the gym for 3 days a week and I've been going for a month and I'm still not seeing any results. Well, of course you're not, right? Because you have to build yourself up to it. Your muscles still have to, take time to tear down and build back up and different things like that. So it goes with any kind of life change,
Yeah.
even those that fall into addiction, right? Most people don't wake up and go, hey, today, you know what? I'm going to be an addict and I'm going to do everything I can to be an addict. It was those small little baby steps that got them to where they finally got down so deep, then they don't know how to get themselves back out, right? But they get
Yeah.
themselves back out the same way they got themselves in by little teeny baby steps going in the opposite direction, the better direction to get to where they want to be. And then one day you wake up and you're going, oh my hell, look how far I've come. I mean, I had a meeting with a guy yesterday who did some prison time and battled with some addiction. And I mean, he told me just a little bit of his story, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much more to it." But he just started out in just one little spot, and then that spot took him to a better spot. Then that spot took him to, as my daughter used to say, a more better spot, right?
Yeah.
We just keep growing towards the direction that we want to go to. But it's just like a race. You're never ever going to cross the finish line if you don't go past the start line first.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's why the 12-step program is so amazing because it's steps. It's not like cold turkey with an addiction is especially for an alcoholic, it can kill you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We learn that. So with alcoholics, they generally have to knock it down to 3 drinks a day, then 2 drinks a day, then 1 drink a day, right? You can't just jump from A to B with those things that you have to wane off. Um, and then there are people that just go cold turkey, which can have seizures and stuff. And some people have done that and they were okay too. Everyone's body is different.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like it's a process. It's a step by step. You start out, I am powerless before God. I surrender to God. You know better. Take my life. Tell me where I need to go, God. Um, I'm lost. I'm lost. Please show me where to go. And I remember God walking me through the 12-step process, and just that, it was just a lot of prayer and, okay, what do I need to do? You need to go write down your trauma, Sage. Write it all down, all those times you felt humiliated, helpless, all that, because that's causing these, we'll say, overly sexual cravings because you're not dealing with your trauma.
Mhm.
And then, there's that. And of course, there's step 9 of making amends. When you make amends, that's one less trigger um, have you run to that craving. That's how I see these things. My addiction was caused by trauma and not making amends with people. Once I dealt with my trauma and made amends with people, the cravings significantly dropped. I went from thinking about sex 24 hours a day and it ruining my life. And to those people out there that say sex addiction is a great addiction, it's horrible. So please stop saying that to me, because I've gotten that over 20 times.
Wow.
It ruined my life completely. But once I dealt with that trauma, gave myself to God, made those amends, those cravings dropped. I went from 24 hours a day to thinking about sex maybe once a day. That's a miracle, but it works. The
Yeah.
12 steps work, but you have to work it, right? And it's hard because we want to just be better right away. But it took me a good 8 months of just this, working on this as much as I could. And my life is so amazing now. It works. So please, to those listeners, don't give up. It's a process. It's hard. It's horrible. And then it's amazing. It's beautiful. So don't give up, please.
And thank you for saying that. Yeah, definitely don't give up. And I shared something a couple of weeks ago on a show that, I mean, you're the 402nd show today that
Yeah.
I'm doing. And I said, out of all the hundreds of people that I've interviewed, who definitely those who have battled addiction, whatever addiction it may be, sex or drugs or alcohol or gambling or gaming or eating or work or whatever it is, not one person has ever said it wasn't worth it. Not one. Every single person has said it sucked going through it. Sometimes I didn't know if I was going to make it.
Hmm.
I look at my life now. My life is so freaking amazing compared to what it was before. And I would say that says something, right? Now, even if only 10 people out of 400 and something show says, "Oh no, it wasn't worth it at all," then
Hmm.
you could kind of question it. But I'm talking hundreds of individuals, not one has ever said my life sucks worse today than it was before. It's always better.
It is. It
Yeah.
is, because not only have you conquered this addiction, which to the listeners, that's amazing. Okay. Anyone who got over an addiction is amazing. Okay. You need to give yourself credit. That's really hard. So not only have you conquered this crazy addiction, you've also awakened, gotten closer to God, and you're a healing individual. When you're broken, you attract broken people. I attracted people at the same level of trauma as me, which were narcissists, because they have a lot of trauma, unhealed trauma, childhood trauma. It's very sad. I have empathy for narcissists. Where I don't have empathy for them is when I would tell my ex, please go get therapy. I can't take all this on. You're telling me all these things, and I don't know what advice to give you. And she would say, I'm dying. I can't get therapy. That's when I don't have sympathy, because there was options and people reaching out their hands. Hey, this is something that would be great for you. And she didn't take that. But because I have healed and worked on my healing, and I'll be healing the rest of my life, of course.
Yeah.
Healing is a journey. It's, dealing with those triggers. But because I've decided to heal, I know I'm going to attract a healed person now, not a broken, unhealed. And there's nothing wrong with broken. We'll say just someone who decided not to heal, right? Because to some extent, we're all broken a little bit, and that's okay. But did you decide to heal? And so it's kind of like, as an addict, once you have healed, you can't go back to your alcoholic friends. They haven't healed. That doesn't work. You're at different journeys at that point. And so it goes the same with the relationships. I'm now attracting these healed individuals, it just, even as friends, into my orbit. And that's how I'm like, I can tell that I've been healing, because I'm attracting people that have taken on that journey of healing and recovery and recovering addicts. And I say this all the time, I love hanging around recovering addicts. They don't have masks. You're not allowed to wear a mask anymore.
Right.
And most of them can't lie because you lied all your addict days, right? And so I'm getting the truth and these raw people in front of me, and it is invigorating. I love it. I love hanging around recovering addicts. It's an amazing experience.
Oh yeah, because I think there's some of the most amazing people out there. I really do, right? Because they've lived in the depths of hell,
Oh
and
yeah.
and to be able to pull themselves out and get to where they're at today. I mean, I remember telling my late wife once, and I've said this on the show quite a few times, but you know, I was at an AA meeting with her, and this guy gets up to share his story, and when he started off, first thing he says, I get up and I thank God every day for making me an alcoholic.
Mm,
And I
mm-hmm.
looked at my wife and I leaned over and I whispered to her and I says, "This guy's got to be fucking nuts. Why did
Mm-hmm.
he say that?" Right? Because I wasn't getting it. And then it took more time of going to some of these meetings. And then it dawned on me. And I remember leaving a meeting once and I told her, I says, "You know what? You guys get it." And she goes, what do you mean?" I said, "You guys understand life. You get life. Who you call us normies," which I don't think there is such word as normal, because I don't feel like there is a normal out there. You know,
No.
just my version of it. I just don't think there is a normal. Some people say I want to live a normal life. Well, what is a normal life? But um, I said, you guys have been a part in your life to where you were in the depths of hell. You've worked your way out. You have a whole new outlook of how life is supposed to be looked at.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like that saying, life isn't happening to you, life is happening for you. And when you look at life that way, not saying you don't get shitballs thrown in your face, because you do. That's just how life works. But you're able to handle those shitballs a lot easier compared to what you did before, because you're like, hell, I used to sleep behind dumpsters. I used to sell
Mm-hmm.
my body for drugs or alcohol, or I used to do this, and this is where I'm at. This is not going to phase me, right? I'm just going to go as this through the storm. I'm just going to walk straight through it, and I'm going to get through it. And as it also says in the 12 steps, you know, gosh, where was I going to go with it? That we can change, basically, right? We can get through it, and we can make those steps towards it. Something I shared in a talk, I spoke out at John Vulcan this past Tuesday, and at the end of my talk, I was telling the guys, it was just this guy's facility, and I says, "I just want you to know right now that God isn't waiting for you on the other side of the storm." And I was looking at some of the faces, and they were like, "Huh," and I said, "It's because he's walking through it with you."
Yeah.
And as long as we know that, and they talk about the higher power a lot in recovery, it really does help us get through it, even though it could be a struggle. But um, gosh,
I love that.
going into the narcissist, that is a tough one too, because I have a family member who has, I don't want to say partner, because it's not really even a partner, to be honest with it, but you cannot ever do anything right for a narcissist. Everything's your fault.
Hmm.
If you catch them in something and they realize you caught them in something, they can still turn it around and still put it on you. And it's almost like, because I lived the majority of my life as a victim, right? I acted the way I acted because of somebody or something. My choices was because of somebody or something. I never took accountability for my own actions. It was always because of someone else or something else. It's
Yeah.
taken me a lot of years to realize this, to understand I've got to be accountable for my own actions. Nobody can make me do anything that I don't want to do unless I choose to go that direction, right? Nobody can
Yes.
piss me off unless I choose to get pissed off, right?
Yeah.
Nobody can ever make me happy if I'm not making my own self happy. So, what is your take? Because you mentioned, the narcissism in your bio a little bit. What's your take on this?
A narcissist comes into your life when you don't have boundaries,
Mm,
and they're very attracted to empaths because I'm going to be honest, I don't really know a narcissist that isn't depressed. They're generally pretty depressed people, and they need a power source. And an empath is a huge power source. Got a lot of divine power running through you. So they need to latch on and siphon that energy to get their power to function almost. And so there is, I studied a lot of Hinduism, and every what I've learned with that religion, and take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. We chose everything coming into this life. We chose this before this life. We chose our addictions, chose our family, we chose our narcissists, we chose our mental disorders, we chose everything. And that was all for our evolution and growth and learning. So, in my past lives, I didn't have boundaries. So, this life, I was like, I'm going to get boundaries. How am I going to do that? Oh, I'm going to traumatize myself with a narcissist. And as hard as that was, I was like, because of her, I say no now, and people respect me more. I respect my life. I respect my time. I chose her. This was a divine choosing. Does that mean it was any less painful? Absolutely not. Do I have all the sympathy and empathy for people in the world dealing with narcissists? Absolutely. 100%. But I chose this before this life to break this cycle of me not respecting my time, my boundaries. And so it's really just like there's gratitude there. But also, there was abuse, physical, mental, verbal, gaslighting, manipulation. Um, there was all of that. It was a constant roller coaster. She lied about things all the time. She told me the woman that I was in love with raped her and touched her, and um it's truly disturbing what she told me this woman that she loved, that I loved, did to her. Once again, none of that was true, all lies. So it's that balance of realizing, okay, I chose this, but also I have to honor this pain and accept it and digest it and get it out however I need to. And me getting out this pain was through writing these experiences down, right? Like they say in the 12 steps, writing these experiences down, talking about them, typing them out, burning the pages, getting it out of your body. And once I got her out of my system, cut those cords spiritually, which I'm currently working on a class teaching empaths how to say no and cut cords. A cord essentially is when you create a connection with someone, any kind of connection, it could even be a friendship. A cord gets connected from your heart to theirs invisibly. Whether you believe in this or not, that's fine. I'm very spiritual. When you're connected to a narcissist, even if you're not talking to them for years, they're still withdrawing energy from you. So I talk in my class and like on my Instagram It's how to cut those cords so they're cut off energetically forever.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, like cutting those cords, releasing her out of my system, and you know, being a new person, having gratitude for that. But you have to honor that pain first. And you have to get a little angry. I was very angry. And once I got that anger out, then then gratitude replaced that. So, that's how I see the narcissist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've seen from the outside, right? And from what I've heard. And when we was talking about, our hearts are attaching, the first thing that popped in my head was the movie Avatar, right? How they get their tail and they connect it to that flying dragon or whatever it was that they, to be able to bind, and then that animal would actually feel them and get to know them through that connection. And I love that you said, even though you get away, unless you do the work, it's still with you, right? It's I've heard some people say that there's no such thing as trauma.
Mm.
Well, there definitely is trauma, and even though we may not be thinking of it, it's like that book, The Body Keeps the Score. Our body is still feeling that trauma, right? That's why certain things may trigger us, or may our subconscious kicks in and says, "Hey, you need to act this way because this is how you're supposed to act when this happens," right? It's doing its best to protect you. And that's why a lot of times we don't understand why we feel the way that we feel. A lot of times that we don't understand why we acted the way that we acted. It's because it's all stored in here.
Yes.
Good news is we can help subside it. It's probably always going to stay with us. It's never going to disappear because it is inside of us. However, once, like what you're saying, you're teaching, empaths how to cut that cord basically,
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
still there, but you're giving them tools and strengths to help them go, okay, it's not going to control me anymore. It's still there, but now when it starts coming to me, I know what to do, right? It's almost like standing in the road and waiting for a diesel to hit you every single day. When you finally realize, oh, all I got to do is step to the side, right? And just
Yes.
let it go by. You still feel the breeze, you still feel the speed coming by you and all that, but yet it's not affecting you the way that it affected you before.
Absolutely. And it's so cool. As you were saying that, I got a ringing in my ear, um, which is it's a spiritual confirmation that what you're saying is true. We have, they say it's tinnitus. There's no tinnitus. You're getting ringing in your ear or bells. Some people hear bells.
Hmm.
That's truth. And what you were saying, I heard that and it was beautiful. It was, yeah, we all, and it's on my Instagram. It's called The Marked Ones. I have a class, for empaths, and you're still going to get triggers, even if you're on a higher timeline. And you've evolved, you've grown, you've gotten over this addiction. So what I tell people is realize that's not your timeline anymore. You we all did crazy things as addicts. I have a lot of regrets. I hurt a lot of people, and I was able to make amends to a lot of those people, which I'm so grateful for technology and being able to do that. You're going to get those triggers still. Even after the amends and the 12 steps and blah, 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 that trigger is trying to drag you back into your addiction. Satan does not want you sober. He wants you, I don't know if I can say the F word, but effed up,
Yeah.
not dealing with life, right? So when you get that trigger of that dumb thing you did, that dumb thing you said, that time you really hurt that person, you already made amends, you made it better with that person. What I want you to say is that's not my timeline anymore. I see you, fear. I see you, old illusion. I do not become you. Release. Goodbye. That's the old loop. That's behind you now. You've dealt with that. And so I try to work with empaths a lot. And the reason why I keep saying empaths is these people are sensitive. They're walking into a room, they're taking on everybody's grief all at once. And that's a lot to take on. So I teach them how to set energetic boundaries, not just physical, but energetic boundaries every morning. Set that energetic force field around you. I'm not taking on anyone else's emotions today. I'm just feeling my own. And unfortunately, what happens is empaths we don't get a guidebook. We're not born with a book. So we feel everyone's emotions. It's so stressful. And then we have these regrets and this sadness and this trauma. So most empaths end up self medicating and they become addicts.
Mm,
And I don't want, because I know my child, whatever child I have, will be an empath. They'll get my gift. I don't want that for them. I want to teach them how to set energetic boundaries um, with people, how to cut those cords. We can go to therapy. We can, if you have trauma, we can go through a PTSD unit. I don't care, but I don't want my kid to be an addict. But if they are, that's okay. I will love them. We will work through things. But that's why we turn to these addictions because we feel too much. And then you add trauma on that, it's like, I can't be here. And
mm,
I couldn't be here for 3 years. From trauma and the empathy together, it was just so overwhelming. The world was. And so it's possible too. Most addicts I meet, I want to say almost all, they're empaths.
mm.
Just think about that, right? And if you need a confirmation, look at their left hand. Do they have an M? That's a sign they're an empath. That M's miracles. Stands for miracles. You
Interesting.
probably have it on your left hand right now. I dare you to look.
Yeah, it is an M.
Yep. That's
Yep.
miracles. You do
Huh.
miracles with that. You can when you can touch someone right now and take away their pain. Right now. You have that gift. But that pain's going to go in your body. So when you touch that person with your left hand, I want you to imagine that energy leaving out your elbow. Or you need to wash your hands with cold water because you're taking on their pain. It's a beautiful thing. Empathy is a beautiful thing. You just have to know how to use it, how to use this gift. It's a gorgeous, amazing thing. I am grateful every day. Has it pretty much like almost like just drove me crazy? Yes, because I didn't know the guide, but I have the guide now. So it's your life can be better just learning those energetic boundaries also.
Yeah. Most definitely. And I think when we get to the point in our lives, we can feel that a lot more from others as well, right? Because I know at least for me in all my umpteen years since 2009 of healing and changing my life, that there's sometimes I can meet an individual or even being around an individual and go, I don't know what it is, but there's just something. And this person could be sweet as can be, right? But it's just like you feel this weird kind of energy. And all of us are, everything puts off energy. Just
Yes.
for those of our listeners that don't understand, seriously, everything you're surrounded by is putting off energy. This is just how the universe works. And it's true. How many times have you guys maybe walked into a room where maybe a couple was fighting or something just happened, and as soon as you walk in, you can feel it. You feel that something is not right. Or you can walk into a room as well that something amazing happened and you can still feel it. It's just
Yeah.
our feelings, going back to the body again, and I'm sure you know this, Sage, is our bodies don't lie to us. Our bodies understand certain things. And I like to say, like those voices in our head, right? I call mine my Holy Spirit. It's my Holy Spirit or my angels that are keeping me away from danger or whatever it may be. How many times have you said, "Oh, I was going to call so and so and I didn't," and then you find out something happened to them. Well,
Mhm.
that's your spirit or your angels, however you'd like to look at it, saying you might want to talk to this individual. So for me now, at least it's been this way for quite a few years. If someone's name pops up in my head, especially if it hits me repeatedly, I know right away that I'm supposed to reach out to that person. Whether I give them a call, whether I just shoot them a text and say, "Hey, I'm just thinking about you today. I hope everything's good." You will be shocked even how many times people will reach back out and go, "Oh my gosh, thank you for doing that. No, I've really been struggling today, and your text just made me smile or something, right? It's those energies that we are connecting with people, and we can connect with someone clear of hell on the other side of the pond, right?
Hmm.
We know someone there, we can still feel that energy. It's so amazing how it all works.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. Um, when you're getting that urge to call someone, go call them. Why
Yeah.
are we, you know, why are we stopping that? Have you had that a lot with your friends and family members where you're like, I need to call this person, and they were about to do something crazy or they were just really depressed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep. Yeah, so many times. So many times. I do my best to put on, post 3 or 4 positive things on Facebook in the morning. A lot of times when I'm doing my cardio, I'll do it at the gym. And every once in a while I'll look at something and I'll post it and then I'm going, maybe I shouldn't have posted that. And then
Mm,
some of the comments I get back make me realize, yep, I shouldn't have posted that, right? However, it's also really good because the majority of them, thank goodness, I'll go start going through stuff and all of a sudden I'll just get this strong feeling. It's like, post this one. And then
yep.
sure enough, somebody will message me and go, how did you know I needed to hear this today? And because a lot of it's not just for me. I don't post this stuff just because it has a certain feeling for me or it resonates with me. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it's because something tells me this needs to be shared today. And it goes on again, with like what you do and what so many people that I've surrounded myself with, and even including myself, all it takes is changing one person's life. And the ripple effect goes so much further than what we've ever seen. I mean, we don't know. We don't know how far it goes, but it's that domino effect, right? You tip one and it starts tipping another and another and another and another and another, and it just keeps going. So that's what's cool about so many individuals in the recovery community who have gotten their lives back because they're that first domino that they're
Yes.
starting to they're starting to hit the other ones.
Oh, I love that. It's so true. You sit down and you talk to an addict or anyone struggling, and they're like, wow, you just like completely changed my life. And I'm like, I don't even know what I said. um, but it's just that, yeah, it's listening to those urges, listening to your body. If you need to say something, say it,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and sometimes people aren't ready for those harsh truths, and that's okay. But we all have blinders. I have a lot, and we all have handicaps, and sometimes we can't see what they're doing. You know, I and this was from a friend telling me I had a hip surgery and um I needed help with the door. I had crutches, and I remember asking this girl to help me, and she didn't. She didn't open the door. And my friend called me out. She said, "That's a entitled mindset that you had, that you assume everyone should help you." And that was true. That was very true. Not everyone can help us. Not everyone is in the space. I probably scared her. I had crutches, and I was scared. I was worried I was going to rip my stitches. And so, also, are we having too much of an entitled mindset with other people? People aren't going to love you and take care of you the way you take care of them. It's different. They're raised differently, and that's not a bad thing. It's just we're all different. And so when we can see things from other people's perspective, it's getting rid of that victim mindset. Because that victim mindset, it's literally there to take away your power. It just sucks. Like you're just making excuses. I did this because this person hurt me. When all you need to do is take action. Like I was like, oh, I can't deal with my finances because I have trauma. You know, and then one day I was like, no, I need to just deal with my finances. So I took this class. It's called Dow Janes. It's for like women, and I learned about APYs and um, investments and budgeting and caring. And I couldn't keep that victim mindset anymore because I was starting to take action. And so instead of being a victim of whatever it is, if it's trauma or sadness, what can you do to take action to get out of that victim mindset? Because that victim mindset is killing you, taking away your power. And it sucks. It sucks being a victim. I don't want to be a victim anymore. But you have to choose it, and it's hard, right? It's the same thing with addicts. My buddy, every day, I'm an addict because um, I'm rich and I've never experienced it. They're just so dumb. Like it like the excuses. And there were sad things too. He had various amounts of trauma too. But it was just that excuse. And I would say, I was trying to be a sponsor and help him, and um, he ended up turning on me and coming after me. And I was just thinking in my head, because he'd tell me every day, my life's better when I'm effed up. My life is better. And when he came after me and turned on me and um, just came after me, it was a horrible experience. Um, I remember just thinking, your life can't be better being this high all the time, because you wouldn't do this to me high. I mean, you wouldn't do this to me sober.
Right, right.
This is a high. You're very paranoid right now. I had made a mistake. I had burned down his garbage can, which is the dumbest story ever. I had paid for it. No one got hurt. It was a horrible accident. And it was so stupid, but everyone was fine. No, nothing else was harmed. Nothing else burned down. I paid for it. I paid for the fire extinguisher. And because he's on all these drugs, he just went after me and thought I was trying to kill him, and just harassed me over Facebook, and had his friend harass me all over a garbage can.
Mm,
And I was just thinking, your life can't be better, because you would never do this to me sober. You would
yeah.
never do this. Is a drug fueled paranoia. Um, and so it's just these excuses. You want to just keep making these excuses. My life is better high, even though my friend probably needs to get a restraining order against me now. Or are you going to take action? I'm an addict. I need help. Let's start. Let's go somewhere. Let's go to a detox center. Let's talk to a therapist. Like, let's take some action. Or, oh, my life's better high, and I harass my friend who burned down my garbage can. What do you want to do in life? Keep making excuses or take action?
Yeah. Well, and it's easier for all of us to make
Mm-hmm.
those excuses, right? I mean, I've heard somebody that I know for many, many years who I've heard say all the time, you have no clue what I've gone through in my life. Well, you're right. I don't. But why are you staying there? Right?
Yeah.
Why do we continue to stay? I mean, if you're if you're walking through 12 inches of mud and you don't want to be there, but yet you continue to say, well, this is the best path for me right now because there probably isn't another path. Well, how do you know unless you go into that direction or go a different direction? Right. And I used to live that way too.
Me
I'm
too.
definitely
Yeah.
100% guilty. It's like, well, you have no clue what I've been through, or you have no clue why I did, all this. Again, we're just giving ourselves those excuses to make us feel better. Either number one is because we don't want to have an opportunity to go in a different direction, or we're happy being in our effing misery
Mm-hmm.
and we're too scared to see what it's going to be like on the other side. So yeah, I have a hard time with that when I hear that, because we all have choices. We all have choices, and we can choose one direction, which could be a bad direction, and we can continue to stay there, which actually causes more bad directions, or we can choose the opposite direction, which you said at the beginning of the show, the people that you've brought now into your life are people who have also healed, right? So
Yes.
if we're living a negative life, we bring more negativity into our life. If we live a positive life, There's still things that happen to us. I'm not saying that life all of a sudden is all sunshine and rainbows and Skittles fall out of the air every day, you know, but we do bring more people that have that positivity into our lives, which, my gosh, my life has been so much better. I had friends before. I have freaking amazing friends now, and it's because God brought them to me because I went on that path, right?
Yes.
He helped me get off the shit path and got me on a better path. And then he just started placing different people in my life that led to other people, that led to more people and even more. I went to a good friend's wedding this past Monday, and I took a lady friend of mine with me, and I was introducing her to a lot of the people that was coming, and she said something to me that really made me feel good. She goes, "You have some really good friends." She goes, "I can feel their energy." And it just brought so much warmth over my body, going, my gosh, yes, I have been so blessed that I'm not in the arena that I was in before. Not saying it was a bad one. I'm
Yeah.
not putting my old friends down at all by all means. It's just that it's it's just gotten so much better. So
Yeah.
much better. And it's just so nice to be able to have that opportunity. It's I've shared many times that we are so blessed and lucky that life isn't like baseball. You get three strikes and you're done.
Oh
God
yeah.
God, we can screw something up so freaking bad, and we still get another opportunity to make it better. And if we
Oh,
screw that up, we still have another opportunity to make it better, right? It's we got as many swings at the ball as we can take, and eventually we do hit it. Sometimes it's only
mm-hmm.
a single, sometimes it's a triple, sometimes it's a grand slam, but we always have these opportunities to go into a different direction.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And thank goodness. Thank goodness life is not baseball. Thank goodness, whether you're religious or not, I believe in Jesus, right? Thank goodness Jesus suffered all these things so that I can say sorry,
Mm,
that I can make amends. He did that for me. And now I can heal. Even I people say this all the time, it's another excuse, right? If I say sorry, it's not going to do anything. Excuse me, when you say sorry, that does everything. What are you talking about? That person, you just healed that little hurt. Even if you hurt this person so much, because you took accountability and you could tell them, I really messed up. I am so sorry. Um, I'm I'm a different person now. I make different choices now. I don't hurt people that way anymore. That's an amazing thing. And when you make that dumb effing excuse that it's not going to do anything, that's a lie. That's an effing lie. Because every person I've said sorry to, whether they responded, whether they didn't, I could feel that even a little bit of their heart, of all the pain I put them through, I could feel even just a little bit of it healing. I
mm,
could physically feel them healing. So stop making dumb excuses that it's not going to do anything saying sorry, because it is an amazing thing. And not only do you heal that person, you heal yourself. So it's just these excuses. Do you want to live? It's not going to do anything. I had a client and that I worked with, and she would say that all the time. It wouldn't do anything if I said sorry to you, Sage. And I said it would mean the world to me if you did.
hmm. I'm gonna come back on this one. Okay, this
Yeah.
this podcast is raw. You know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I heard sorry a lot with my late wife, right?
Yeah.
And it got to where that word didn't mean anything to me either because the actions kept going.
Yes.
And see saying it and then changing the actions, right? So somebody, I either heard it or I read it somewhere. I don't remember what it was, or maybe even someone said it to me. But the Romans, they never did say sorry
Mm.
because they felt it was a negative word.
No.
And so I was talking to a buddy of mine, Matt Gibson, if I remember, And he was saying, look up the word sorry. There's some like negative things in it. And I'm like, huh, that's very interesting. So I did, because I used to say I'm sorry all the time too, right?
Right.
I changed it to I apologize.
Yes.
Because for me, that, and I'm saying this is just what works for me. I'm not saying this is what everyone needs to go do, right? It's what each individual works. But yeah, I like to say I apologize. If because I'm still taking accountability for my
Yeah.
mistake, for doing something wrong. I just feel, at least for me, it has more of a positive impact instead of the other one. But the sorry is used all the time, right? I mean, you hear it in the movies, you hear it in songs, I mean,
Yeah.
people say it a lot. And I would say if you do say you're sorry, mean it for sure and don't make that mistake again, right? Because that's what's changed me, because I heard it too many times and nothing changed. The action still continued. So I got to where it's just like, yeah, it doesn't mean anything to me. And at least that's just my version of where I go with it. But thank you for sharing that, because yes, it does. If you say sorry to somebody, it does mean things to individuals, right? It means a lot to them when they go, okay, this person is basically saying they're sorry because of what they did, and I'll accept that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And I actually don't like the word sorry either. Um, what you can also say is honestly, what people really need is for you to just take accountability.
Hmm.
You don't even need to say, you need to say, I really hurt you and I'm accountable for that. I'm 100% accountable for that. And I'm taking steps to never treat another person like that ever again. That is sometimes a better apology than sorry, because sorry can really just be an easy out.
Hmm.
But if you're telling me a plan, or I'm telling you a plan of how I'm going to change, I've thought that through and taken accountability of how I want to be better and different. So you don't have to say sorry. What people want is for you to take accountability. That's it. You can leave the S word out of this,
The S word.
right? And just say, I'm 100% accountable. I hurt you and I don't live that way anymore. And I have a plan to never live that way anymore. Step one is I'm going to stop making excuses for my life and, um, start a new plan. Or a great example is when you can be like, sorry, I'm late. Well, you're going to say, sorry, I'm late the next day too. So, how about you tell a person, wow, I was late. In the future, I am going to set an alarm clock 10 minutes earlier than I normally do and leave 10 minutes earlier than I normally do so I can be early or on time. So, in that example, you are telling that person, one second, that's my dog.
Oh, no worries.
You are telling that, Chewy. Oh my gosh, he's been acting weird today. You are telling that person, okay, I messed up and this is how I'm going to fix it. But when you just say sorry, it really can be an easy out.
Yeah,
So,
most definitely.
yeah,
I
you have
love
to
that.
choose.
Love that about taking accountability. It's crazy how fast these shows go. We're actually have gone a little over an hour, but I want to make sure that you can let people know how they can find your podcast. Um, a lights out narciss narcissistic podcast. That's what it is, right?
Yeah,
How
you got
how,
it.
how can they find you, Sage?
So I'm on all large platforms. I'm on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple. I'll leave my website for you.
Yes,
You can put it in
send
the
it
show
to me.
notes.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
please send it to me.
Okay, I'll send you the website. The listeners can click on that. They can watch it through the website. And I also have an Instagram. It's a underscore lights underscore out underscore narcissistic underscore pod. You can contact me. You can tell me your story. I my DMs are always open, and I would love to help and heal anyone that needs assistance.
Okay. Would you please email me or text me all those links so I can make sure I can copy it and paste it in the comments?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that way I know I'm not putting something in there wrong and it's not right, it's easier just for people to send it to me, and then I can just copy and paste it and put it on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send it right over.
Okay. Saige, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. This has been an absolute pleasure. I loved what the discussion was. Thank you for sharing about how you couldn't say no, talking about boundaries, narcissism. It really is. There's work for us to all do. And I was just talking with a friend 2 days ago, and she was looking at it the same way, that there is no finish line when it comes to bettering ourselves. There's always more steps that we can take. So thank you for sharing what you've shared, and also for being open and honest and vulnerable, right? That's hard for a lot of individuals. And however, once we start doing it, it does become easier. But we don't do it for people to go, oh, I feel sorry for you. We do it because we're doing it to help someone else. Our voices are so powerful. So to be able to open up and be vulnerable and share what we've gone through in our lives and share what we've learned and what we've gained from our life, it means a lot. So thank you again for taking your time out of this beautiful day to be with me. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this baby up. So again, I just want to say thank you to Saige. I want to say thank you to all our past guests, our future guests. We've got some really good ones all lined up. And I also want to say thank you to Dave and Susan Kenny from Emergo Academy. I love and appreciate both you guys so much. Hope you guys stop by. I heard that they're going to be doing some travel and they might come through Utah. So I told them they better stop and say hi. And most of all, I just want to say thank you to our listeners. Man, you guys are the ones that's keeping this thing going. I love and appreciate every single one of you, and just respect you guys. It's so cool to have someone come up to me at a recovery event and go, hey, you're the guy that does the podcast, and we listen to it. It just means the world to me. So thank you. We're going to leave you with this, as we do at the end of every show. Remember, the storm isn't here to stop you, it's here to reveal you. Don't run from it, walk through it, because on the other side isn't just survival, it's the person you were always meant to become. Until next time, keep walking through the storm.